Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bunnies, and in this video we're going to be doing a cheap art supply challenge. I know it's not exciting. I feel like I've done this many times before. It's an easy video to ease my way back into the whole YouTube routine again because I have just not been doing any art for the past like 6 weeks or so. I will get to why. Here's what we're going to be playing with today. There's all kinds of little things in here which we're going to get into later on in the video. First, I kind of want to give you a story or an update on what has been going on in my life. We're going to try to keep it short, and if you want to skip the story, I totally understand. I'll be putting a timestamp to when the challenge begins in the video down below in the comments. So, I haven't been on YouTube for 6 weeks or so, maybe a little bit less than that. And the reason why is because I have been so busy. My husband and I have been so busy renovating our new apartment. We do live in Berlin, and Berlin, you know, given the history, you can sort of split the city up in different areas, different quarters, but there is predominantly East and West Berlin, and the styles of the buildings are way different. So we had lived in East Berlin for about 6 years now, and we lived in a very old Russian style building. By Russian, I mean literally concrete box of an apartment. There wasn't anything that we had to do in terms of the renovations for that apartment. It was fairly new, fairly modernized. So we were quite lucky with that. However, we have now moved to the west side, and it's a complete different environment. It's so much cooler. The west side of Berlin, it's beautiful here. I love it a lot. The environment is so different. The feeling is so different. I live literally like 10-minute bike ride to a palace. I'm not exaggerating. It's like I literally live near a palace, and this is like, what? Like, what? Our apartment is a very old apartment. It is probably established in the early 20th century, if not earlier. It was destroyed in the war, and it was rebuilt in, after the war, end of 40s, early 50s or so. So a lot of the things are, the walls are crooked, the floors are crooked, the materials that were used for the walls are crumbling, things are cracking, things are just not structurally sound. And this is things we had not anticipated and things we had to kind of work around, and also we had to get others to come and fix. So because of this, we have been extremely delayed, and it's taken us already 4 weeks to do the things we've already done. We're still not done with renovations. We probably have a few more weeks to go. The bedroom is now we're officially able to go in and put wallpaper and floors in. So that's something that is like we're looking forward to because we've been sleeping in the living room. The best thing is that I have my own studio room. This is what I'm sitting in right now. It's quite big, it's beautiful, it's not yet done. Yeah, it's my own space, and I'm just so happy to have it because I just didn't have it before, and I can create again and I can have a room for it. And yeah, this is just very exciting. So for sure I'll be getting back into the whole art thing. I'll be live streaming again. I'll be doing my my weekly schedules, my weekly uploading schedule. Here's an awkward transition between the story time and the challenge. I totally forgot to film an ending part of the story, but let's just jump right into the challenge itself. I found this art pack at a construction store, kind of like Home Depot. For those of you who live in Germany, I found this at Obi, but I did find this art pack while I was shopping for renovation materials. This pack is about, if I remember correctly, it was around 10 euros, so it was fairly cheap, and you get a sketch pad, you get a box of colored pencils, and you also get a set of watercolors. This is made by the brand Staedtler, which is a pretty reputable brand in terms of office supplies, and this package is marketed towards children. I thought I'd give it a go since Staedtler has good quality, and I will be talking about the results with the actual speed part of this video, or the speed painting part of this video. I started by drawing my character with my Prismacolor Color Race pink colored pencil. And I'm actually drawing on the sketch pad that was available within the little package. The sketch pad itself, the paper is super thin. It is 80 grams, I believe, which is like one of the thinnest ones you can get. And obviously it doesn't really hold up that well compared to other mixed media papers. This is of course a kid's pack, so I don't expect it to be like highly professional paper. But I just had to be careful when I was erasing the pencils because the paper could have ripped. And later on, when I was using the watercolor, yes, I did decide to use watercolor in this because that is part of the challenge, just using old materials minus the sketching pencil, of course, because it didn't come with one, but using all of the materials and trying to make a work of art out of it. So I did use this paper, although it is not watercolor paper, and that was a challenge in itself. Once I had the portrait all done and ready to go, I started coloring her in with the watercolor set that came in the pack. The set itself came with with 12 color pots, and the watercolors were basically like what you would expect for children's watercolors. They're quite difficult to use, I find, and to get color off of the pot. And also the brush that came with it was also quite difficult to use because the brush hair were just not stable, and they were like, I don't know, it was just hard to paint with. So that was one thing that was a bit difficult, to get the exact color, or like to get exactly the type of coloring that I'm used to doing with watercolor. But nonetheless, I made the best out of it. So I did mix a lot of the colors together, and I also used the tube of white paint that came with the watercolor set. And yeah, basically you can mix this into the colors and it will kind of create a gouache kind of feel. So yeah, so I was trying to mix some of the paints together to create different types of colors for her hair. We've got the lowlights, the highlights, and the mid colors in between. And then once that was done, I just started using the pencil crayons that came with the box, and these were actually surprisingly very good, and I did enjoy using them. I thought that there wouldn't be so much color coming off of them like the usual kids products that I've tried in the past, but in this case the colored pencils actually stood up quite well, and I was able to blend with them, and I was able to create really nice colors and basically make her face pop, because the watercolor definitely was not doing that. I think in general the watercolor could have worked if I was actually painting on watercolor paper. I think in this case maybe I might have been able to get a little bit more pigment out of the watercolors, although at first glance the watercolors themselves were not that pigmented, so you did have to use a lot of water and you did have to mix a lot and try to get the color off of the color pots. So this was a little bit of a challenge, but the paper I was drawing on was available in the pack, and obviously it being not watercolor paper, I wasn't able to layer as much. So what you're seeing is basically just maximum 2 layers of watercolor, and I would have probably needed around 4 or 5 for some of the darker areas. And in this case it was not possible, so I did try to use the pencil crayons to kind of fill in the gaps for the shadows, and that was just not enough either. So that's why you're seeing the dress kind of look a little bit weird, is because I literally was not able to shade at a certain point. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I really did enjoy this challenge. I always enjoy these cheap art supply challenges. I would definitely urge for you to go ahead and give it a go, and basically, yeah, see what you can create with something that does not cost much. You again don't need to spend so much money on art supplies in order to create something very nice. In general, I'll be back to my daily or my weekly upload schedule, including live streams very soon. I'm still trying to get all of my studio things for my old apartment over. Again, not yet finished, but this is the plan, and I'll be resuming my YouTube stuff, which I'm so excited to do, and I just can't wait to get everything started and back up and running the way it used to be. That being said, I want to wish you all a wonderful weekend, a wonderful Sunday, and I will see you next week. Bye!